Welcome to the Canadian Basketball Show, your go-to spot for the latest news, stories, and analysis on Canadian basketball. I'm your host, Lee Ben Osman. I'm really excited to be joined by a real legend, might be the greatest basketball player to ever come out of the city of Toronto. He's a Canadian basketball legend, Mr. Phil Dixon. How you doing? How you enjoying this weather? I know you're from Jamaica originally. Are you wishing over that you were there?
Right now, I wish I was, because outside is so cold, right? Yeah, but I'm doing fine, thanks. You know, like under the circumstances, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I wanted to have you on because I feel like everyone that I speak to in the basketball space consider you a pioneer in a way. You know, many that I talked to called you like you're the Andrew Wiggins before Andrew Wiggins. You know, the way basketball is in Canada, I feel like a person like you deserves their flowers for showing the world like Canadians got talent, you know, and there's players like you, and especially like the border next to us, people weren't really knowing about Canadian hoopers until you kind of popped up in the scene. What was that like? Take me through it. During the 80s, when you're coming out in Canada, did you realize at the time you were making history as a basketball player?
No, to be honest with you, at that age, I mean, my passion as a youngster was soccer. You know, like that was my main thing, right? You know, and then when I got to like 13 and 14, I grew like 6 inches, so I just shot up.
To what?
To like, I went from like 5'7" to like 6'2".
Damn.
You know, in like one summer, right? And that was going to my first year at Bathurst. And that was actually 3 years removed from coming from Jamaica, because I came from Jamaica August 12th, 1980. That's actually my 11th birthday.
Wow. What was that like? Was it a culture shock coming to Canada?
Well, it wasn't so much of a culture shock. Initially, it was, you know, and what really got me was the winter, because I've never really seen snow before, right?
Yeah. And
I came in the summertime. So by, you know, October, I think it snowed in October of that year, and I was like, what the hell is this? It's like white rain coming down, right? And it was just, it was a major adjustment for me, right?
Yeah. How'd you get into basketball?
The kids would be playing a lot outside, and I'm like, it looks like netball. Because in Jamaica, it was similar, but we had a thing called netball where there was no backboard, right? And I played that in Jamaica a little bit, but not to the level as I did in Canada. So, you know, I'd go out in the summertime, I would see kids, you know, at the court playing basketball. And, you know, I had a couple of friends that I'd play soccer with. So we used to go and started playing a little bit, right? But, you know, I really, you know, took to it. And, you know, once I developed that passion, I just put that time in and just started training. And then once I met Bob, in I think it was 83, 84, when I met Bob my first year of high school, that was it.
Yeah, Bob Maydo obviously passed away recently, one of the greatest high school coaches ever in Canadian basketball. Me and you obviously spoke for a story I did in the Toronto Star recently just about him. We'll obviously talk about Bob.
Yeah.
But when did you realize, I want to take this serious? Did you have like, were you watching the game? Did you have favorite players? And did you realize like, I'm different?
You know what? Because of my neighborhood, we used to play every night, right? So it was competitive, right? And then there was a couple older guys, you know, like there's a couple guys in particular, like one guy named was Eric Grizzle, you know, passed away, God rest his soul. Like, you know, I really I idolize him a lot, you know. And there's another guy named P-Funk and, you know, Jim Clark, you know. So these guys were a couple of years older than me, but they were the top players, right? You know, so I used to just be motivated, you know, to play with them and to play against them. And those guys in the neighborhood, those guys really pushed me, you know. So that's where everything starts. It's right in the neighborhood, you know. Just the competitive edge, that toughness, you know. And yeah, and that's just where it started.
What was it like growing up, Lawrence Heights, jungle?
Oh man, listen, it wasn't easy, man. I tell you, it wasn't easy at all. Number one, you know, my home life wasn't really the greatest, right? So as a result, you know, I would sleep in, you know, different friends' homes and stuff. And sometimes you get caught up with the wrong people and, you know, it gets you in trouble, you know what I mean? And it happened to me one night, you know, I was sleeping at my teammate's home thinking that, these people are my friends or family or whatever you want to call it, right? I was 15, right? And, I'm sleeping at 3:30 in the morning now. Man, all of a sudden, I just hear, don't move or something to blow your head off. Man, I thought I was dreaming, right? So all of a sudden, I look up, man, all I saw was guns in my face, man. And I'm at somebody else's home at 3:30 in the morning, sleeping, got school the following morning, not knowing what the hell is going on, right? So these guys come in there, they said, oh, you're under arrest for 5 counts of armed robbery. I'm like, what? Like, who did I rob? What? And then all of a sudden, I hear this lady in the background yelling and screaming, oh my God, I can't believe it. I've been harboring a criminal in my house. All of a sudden, they just turn on me, right? Then I looked at my friend at the time, my teammate, and this guy's looking at me like I'm a ghost. Like he doesn't even know me, right? So these guys arrested me. And I'm like, yo, if I'm committing all of these crimes, you don't think he's committing it? I'm with this guy every day. We don't, I play ball. I'm not a robber. I don't steal nothing. So they took me away, took me to jail. I was there for like about 3 months, man. And Bob Maydo, man, and Jeannie Hooper. It's not just Bob, but Jeannie Hooper and Bob Maydo at the time were my coaches. And these people, they put together, man, and they hired the best lawyer in the city, man, a gentleman named Alan Gold. And then, they start having meetings and stuff, right? And then, they said, you know what, Phil, it looks like it was set up. And like there was a whole bunch of robberies that was taking place in the neighborhood, right? But it just happened that there was 2 cops in the neighborhood. One cop was a black cop, his name was Pepper, and the white cop, we call him Salt. So what happened was that, and at the time I didn't know this, right? But at the time, my so-called friend, his mom, and this Pepper guy, they were collaborating, right? And she would feed him stuff. But I mean, it's one thing to feed him stuff, but don't feed him crap to sabotage my life, right? So everything was coming through them. So we go to court now. Man, my stuff got thrown out before I could even present a defense. They just threw it because there was no evidence there, right? But they just had me locked up for 3 months, brought embarrassment to my family. Was trying to, it messed with my basketball stuff a little bit too, right? But, this is where Bob didn't even second guess or hesitate, I told him, I said, Bob, you know what? I don't rob nobody. I've never had a gun in my life. All I want to know is where's the next basketball court. That's it. I'm just a ball player. That's my circle. You know what I mean? And he believed me, right? And went and got me the lawyer, him and Mrs. Hooper, and the rest is history,
Yeah. What was it like? You get to jail, obviously for something you didn't commit.
Yeah.
What's going through your mind? Obviously,
Man,
at the time, rising as a player, and then what's going through your mind when you're there and it's like, is my life ruined?
I was panicking, and then my dad at the time lived in London, right? So every weekend he'd come up and visit me, right? And he would just, he'd try to keep me grounded, and then Bob would visit me as well, you know what I mean? So I had people in my corner as well, that would come and visit me, you know what I mean? And so that was the stuff I kind of look forward to, right? Was those positive stuff. But when they left and they were gone, and then I'm there by myself, a couple of the guards, them started opening the gym for me.
In the jail?
Oh, in the jail. And then I started training, and then my game even got better.
Yeah.
They would give me like 2-3 hours a day for myself.
So you get everybody to work, huh?
Oh, yes. I was just working on my game like crazy, man. And it just so happens that the day I came out of jail, I went straight to a tournament. And all the guards in the jail came to the tournament to watch me play, man. We won the tournament. I won the MVP, and they're all there just celebrating for me, man. So that part of it turned out kind of in a positive way, Even though I went through a whole bunch of crap, in the end, it turned out in a positive way. And I mean, it's all, with the help of Bob and Mrs. Hooper. And if I didn't have those people in my life, man, my life could have gone so many different ways, I could have been in jail, or I could have been dead, who knows, right?
How did you meet Bob? Tell me about that. And first time.
My first time meeting Bob was grade 9, Bathurst Heights Secondary High School.
First impressions of him?
First impression. Well, I didn't know him, you know what I mean? But when I first met him, seemed like a really nice man. When I met Miss Hooper, she was really nice. And both of them were co-coaches, right? So Miss Hooper was more of a disciplinarian, right? strict, fair, but very structured, okay? Bob was the same way, but just a bit more lenient, you know? With Bob, you could kind of compromise and, but with Miss Hooper, you have to have a great excuse for her to even bend. If not, no, she, you know what I'm saying? So, like, both of them have impacted my life in so many ways, and it's all in a positive way, right? So I was lucky to have them, to have
What
met
made
them.
Bob so special as a coach? We talk about it because so much outpour, right? Since his passing, what made Bob Maydo such one of the greatest coaches in Canadian basketball history?
Just he's a man of integrity. He's honest. You know, he speaks the truth. He's caring. He's loving. And he's an extremely hard worker. And just talk about just loyalty. You know what I mean? If Bob is your friend, you've got a great friend because he's somebody that would do anything for you. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you need help, he's gonna be there for you, and that's just who he is. Like I've never ever met a person like Bob Maydo. Never.
How'd you find out about his passing? I know obviously
My
it's been a
son,
tough few weeks. Right?
my son, because Bob was actually the coach of my grandson Julius, and you know what's so crazy, man? Because I just about to call Bob to because do my annual stuff, Happy New Year stuff, right, in the morning, and then Jordan called me. My son Jordan called me, and he's like, "Dad," I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "Man, I got some bad news to tell you," and I was like, "Man, I can't deal with no bad news right now, man." And he's like, "No, Pops, man, it's Bob." I was like, "What?" And then when he says, I said, "What happened to Bob?" And then when he told me, man, oh my God, man. I feel like someone just stabbed me in my heart, man. Man, that crushed me, bro. I dropped the phone. I just couldn't believe it. Every time I think about it, man, it shatters my heart, man.
What's it been like seeing so many people talk about stories? You talked about how he saved you, what's that been like seeing so many people talk about how he impacted so many lives within Canadian basketball? A lot of people talked about they would have been locked up. He saved them.
Nobody knows Bob like me. I lived with Bob for so many years, for many years. Even in university, I still live with Bob. Even when I was in Utah, I come home in the summertime, I would go stay with Bob. I got custody of my son Jordan when I was 19. And when I was away in school, when I was away playing professional basketball, my son is with Bob. You know what I'm saying? So I know this man like the back of my hand. And when I tell you there's nobody like him, there's nobody like him. Nobody. Like, he has a twin sister, Paulette. She has a beautiful soul. She's sick right now. Very similar to Bob, but Bob still stands alone. Jim is a really nice man, his older brother. He's very nice. He's a nice guy as well, but Bob is still alone. Bob is still standing on his own. Yeah, man.
I remember you telling me stories too, how he'd open up the gym early in the morning. Tell me about those sessions. What were they like, and how did that made you the player that you are?
Oh yeah, I mean, we would 6 o'clock in the morning. We would go to the gym, and first we'd go to the swimming pool, and then we'd thread for like 45 minutes, just do the conditioning, and then we'd go in the gym, and then we'd just go for like an hour. And this is before basketball season even started. You know what I mean? And we would do this for the whole year, and even after basketball season's done in the summertime, in the morning time, because he'd have access to the gym, right? So we'd just take advantage of that, and we would just go and work out, and I'd bring my son with me, right? And then after a while, other kids would join us, and even when I left and I'm off doing my thing, he's doing the same thing for other kids, you know what I mean? So it's just who the kind of person Bob is. It's just like Bob Maydo he was like a gift. It's like God just said, you know what? You guys are gonna have him for 75 years, but then I'm taking him back.
Yeah.
So enjoy him while he's there.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna take him, and that's what happened with Bob, man.
What do you think his legacy is in the Canadian basketball scene? I'm guessing a lot of people have reached out to you in the past few weeks and talked to you, and I'm guessing you shared stories with a lot of people. Well, what do you think his legacy is?
His legacy will live on. He has a great legacy. Here's a guy who could have gone to the States. He had opportunity to coach, high school in the States, university in the States. But he says, no, my calling is here. My calling is to stay locally and to work with the kids I'm here and impact their lives. And that's what he did, And yeah, so he has his legacy will live on through all of us, through me, through all of his players, through everybody who he has impacted, And yeah, it's man. I stuff I do now is because of Bob. You know what I mean? I created a basketball club because of Bob. Yeah. I run my basketball camps because of Bob. So yeah, he has done so much for me where I used to always ask him, how can I ever repay you? And he always just tells me, do something nice for somebody else. Make a difference in somebody else's life, impact their life in a positive way. And that's, it's rewarding for me, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How cool was it? Your grandson was playing for him just recently too.
Yeah.
What was that full circle moment kind of like seeing them win the Humber Classic tournament?
Oh, yeah. I was there watching that.
What was that like?
That was amazing, man. That was so surreal. It was a beautiful feeling.
You won it, no? You won that too?
He won the tournament. Yeah. And I just reflect back to when I played in that tournament and I won it as a player. And I think my son even played in that tournament and won it too, right? So it was kind of neat, that all three of us were able to experience that,
generations.
Right? Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? And it just reflects back to Bob. Bob called me about 3 months ago, and he said to me, Philip, you got to come by the house and pick up, your scrapbooks and stuff and some of your videos and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll come by soon, Bob, we're working and stuff, He'd be like, you better come by soon, man, because, because when I die, they're just going to burn that stuff. And I was like, die? I was like, what? I was like, man, you're going to be coaching my great-grandson, So now I'm reflecting back, like 3 months ago, it's as if he was telling me something, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, and it's just, I think about the conversation all the time. Yeah.
How competitive were those Bathurst teams? Tell me about it. Were y'all the best team during that time? Under Maydo, you as a star, what was that like? What was the basketball scene like?
Oh no, we had a handful of teams that was really good back in those days, like Runnymede, Oakwood, George Harvey, Eastern Commerce. Like a lot of the teams in the city was very competitive. If you're able to beat the teams in the city and get outside the city, then everything else is fairly easy, right? Because only 1 or 2 teams are able to leave from the city and go to OFSA. Yeah. And even St. Mike's had a good team back then, too.
St. Mike's, yeah.
Yeah, they had a pretty good team then. So it was very competitive.
Yeah. Obviously, OFSA was the biggest thing. How many OFSA titles did you win?
I believe I won 3.
3?
Yeah. A couple of them was like AA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, too, because you think about it now. OFSA's still a thing, but it's not as competitive. It's not like everyone is now at a prep school.
Yeah.
It's outside the city. What are your thoughts on that? As someone that grew up in the city, played basketball in like these competitive rivalries, right? There were so many good teams. I'm thinking about the Eastern Commerce, 2 of the worlds.
Oh yeah, I mean the game has evolved so much, right? Like back when I played, we didn't have the Toronto Raptors, right? So now they got the Raptors, and kids are getting paid in college. When I went to college, you're getting paid, but it's like under the table or around the corner, through boosters. So it's a lot different now. You're getting paid as if you're
millions,
as if you're a pro athlete, right? So the dynamics have changed, man. So kids them right now, like they look at it as a business. Even the parents, right? So they're trying to get their kids, the best trainers, get them to the best prep school, to get the best exposure, to get to the ultimate package, which is to make that money, right?
Yeah. Have you gone to a prep school game? Have you seen like what that landscape kind of? Or you're like, I stay away from it. I enjoy what was pure.
I used to coach at a prep school. I coached at a prep. I used to coach at Metro Prep for a number of years, and then I had a few kids that came through the prep school system and went on, right? Because you kind of got to adapt to what's around you as well, right? Because that's what the kids want, right? and it was like a stepping stone for them to get to college, right? And it was a private school, where, they were able to get a free education. If they come there, and they perform well on the court, their tuition is free. And by that, they can get some exposure and then go on to play in the U.S., right? And they had like a prep league as well in Toronto, and then a prep league in the U.S., right? So so it was more basketball for the kids to play in.
Yeah, obviously better opportunities, that
and
kind of
better
stuff.
opportunities, yeah.
People that have like listened to this podcast, they've heard me complain about the lack of culture. I'm like a broken record. The lack of culture in Toronto's basketball scene. There's so many schools outside the GTA, that kind of stuff.
We need to work together more, I think.
Please.
And we're not doing that. We rather just take our team and go to the U.S. and work with somebody in the U.S. opposed to put together and build a dynasty here. Because if you look in the NBA, like every year we're getting 2 or 3 top Toronto players going into the draft, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to keep happening over and over.
How, like when you were coming up, what was that like, being the guy out of the city? How many college offers did you have coming out? What was your recruitment like?
I had well over 100.
100?
Well over 100.
What was that like when you're dealing with all those schools pulling you? Did you go on many visits?
Like I said, I went in about 7, bro. Like I said, this is Bob Maydo again. Like Bob was just...
He handled it?
Oh yeah, man. It was just so much, man. It was just a lot of pressure, right? And the one time I didn't listen to Bob, I regretted it. And because Bob initially didn't want me to go to UConn. He was like, man, that guy's slimy, man. There was an assistant coach who was just promising me the moon and giving me, and like I said, Bob is a man of integrity.
It doesn't work that way.
Bob is like, Philip.
Yeah, he saw it.
He's like, Philip, don't take it. Philip, nope. Philip, nope. I'm against that, Philip. So, you know what I mean? And I still, you know what I mean? You know me, I'm a young kid, impressionable, thinking that this stuff is, yeah. And Bob is like, hell no. So I went against him and I, get caught up in that crap. End up didn't work out. So now I end up falling back into the pool now. So all of a sudden, all these schools just start calling like crazy. And I just made a promise to myself. I said, Bob, you look at all these schools. Whichever school you think I need to go, you let me know and I'm going there. Yeah. And that's it.
You're like, I learned my lesson.
That's it. And that's it. And it's all these different schools kept calling, right? And then he fell in love with Rick Majerus. And then he's like, you know what, Philip, I think Utah is a school for you. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to Utah.
I was like, how did you handle all the pressures? Because I look back now, like when I was doing the story on Bob, I was searching up so much Bathurst Heights. Like it's crazy now. At least at my where I work at the Toronto Star, there's so much coverage of high school basketball back then. Now there's none. Like there's no, like I do some stories covering the next wave of talent, but there's not many, like newspapers don't cover it as heavily, anymore.
I saw that.
But during your time, you were in the paper like every week. Yeah, what was that like getting?
It was crazy.
Everyone reaching out to you.
Star and the Sun, it was crazy. Yeah, it was. Yeah, because back then we didn't have no social media, right? So and the high school basketball coverage was a big deal. The gyms were packed, the games were packed. So back then it was just so much more intense, right? It was so much more passion, People were coming from all over to watch you play. It's like you had like a following. Yeah. People would leave from other high schools to come and watch you guys play. So it was fun, man. It was.
How would you think you would deal with the social media aspect? Say
oh my God,
if that was added to now how you're dealing with things, how would you have dealt with that?
Oh, who knows? I'd be in serious trouble, bro. It'd be crazy. Let's just say that.
Yeah, because I think about it now. There's so much pressures on kids now.
Oh,
right? They get.
There's cameras everywhere. Right?
After games, you probably see it too. Like everyone's lined up at the baseline, ready to record.
You got to be in your P's and Q's, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah.
It's a different time now, right? It's a different time.
Yeah. So when you're deciding on a school, you talked about going on those visits. Was there a school that you wanted to visit? You're like, damn, this is crazy. When you're looking at the college life, what was that like during that time?
Oh yeah, it was lovely, especially the one like Florida State.
What was that like?
Oh, that was just amazing. And those guys, they wine and dine you, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man. And the campus was beautiful. The whole setup was beautiful. And you go to watch a football game and just that energy alone, you know, it's 100,000 fans watching the game, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. And yeah, it's a different environment. It's a different lifestyle, right?
Yeah. Were many guys getting D1 offers during that time? What was that
It
like?
was more of a handful of guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't like how it is now.
Yeah.
No.
So what was it like when you're going through that, understanding how to move and like deal with? Now I feel like everyone, because like I kind of look at you kind of like as a guinea pig in a way, right? You're going through it. You talk about 100+ offers,
and you're learning as you go. Yeah.
Now it's like everyone has somebody. There's a blueprint, you know, to everything.
Totally.
What's that like? What was it like going through it? Was there stuff that you're like, I wish I knew about this. I wish I knew about that. That was like, it's tough, but also like that's why we consider you a pioneer. You did it, so no one else has to do it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it was a learning experience, right? And like I said, Bob was like a buffer. You know what I mean? Any issues or questions I have, I'd be on the phone with him. I'd be talking to him and concerns, and you know what I mean? There's even a couple of times where, you know, I'd be like, man, I got to get out of here, man. This coach is, you know, he's calling me all kinds of names. He's swearing. And he's like, you know, not every coach is going to be like me, right? You know, that's just his personality. That's who he is, right? And that was my initial thought. Then all of a sudden, he's doing this to all the other players, right? So it's like you're learning different people, you're adjusting and you're evolving, right? So for the first year, it was a learning curve big time. But then afterwards, it was smooth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was there a moment where you realized I'm the top guy, where it's like everyone is, because I know you played some competition in the States. What was that like during that time? Was there much where you'd travel or like you'd play U.S. competition?
But before I got hurt, my first 6 games, I averaged like 20, 21 points a game. And then I got hurt. So one thing about me, like I've always been a confident player. Like that never wavered at all. You know what I mean? Because I know, and I just always had confidence in my game because I know the time I put in. I know what's going to happen. I know, you know, I used to put in 3-4 hours a day, man. So confidence was never an issue or a concern, right?
Yeah. You get to Utah.
Yeah.
What's your first impressions of the school? Because now I hear a lot of stories about Utah as being, you know, what it's like over there.
Yeah.
What was it like for you going, I'm guessing, completely different from the city of Toronto?
It was definitely a culture shock, for sure, because I've never been around so many white people in my life, right? So initially that was, but some of them was, man, they were nice, man, and you being an athlete, right? Obviously they're going to treat you a little bit different, right? But some of my best friends today still lives in Utah till this day. You know what I mean? I go back every so often, right? We had a reunion in 2017.
What was that like?
It was fun. Yeah. A lot of us is age, right? Coach passed away in 2012, so he wasn't there. But the assistant coaches was all there. Yeah, it was fun. You know, it was fun to see old teammates and stuff. But my initial thought of Utah was Salt Lake City is a beautiful city. The mountains, oh my God, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, you played, I think, just 6 games freshman year.
My first year before I got hurt, yeah.
Tell me about the injury that happened. Because how did it happen? Let's talk about that. Because everyone that changed the trajectory of your career, right?
Oh yeah, my life.
Yeah.
Totally. Actually, on that day, we had a game that same day against a Canadian team out in Vancouver. And Jay Trainer was the coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, what was the team? There's a team out in Victoria. SFU, Simon Fraser.
Yeah,
that's it.
Simon Fraser,
that's it, Simon Fraser. So coaches scheduled an exhibition game. And they were going to be our last game before we start league play, right? And so we had the student union, like the players, right? And we were just 8. And then at the time, we were going to live on the campus, like in the dorms. So it's a little bit of walking from the union to the dorms. But from the union to the dorm, you walk like through a little hallway, and there's stuff that, you know, people are advertising, selling. There's a store where they're selling hats and socks and stuff. And there's a store where they're selling like computers, you know, typewriters, different stuff like that. So a buddy of mine is my point guard. He was kind of my best friend at the time. And he and I, we like to horseplay a lot. You know these short
like
guys.
Most kids, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But this guy, like...
He's short?
He's like, Van is like 6'1", but he's stocky, right?
Yeah. And how tall are you this way?
I'm 6'5", 215. So he's always, you know, we're always tussling, right?
Yeah.
So me and him so he comes and he attacks me, right? So boom. So I turned around and I body him up, right? So he and I started like tussling, hustling. So he turned me. So when he turned me, I came over on my right shoulder. I came over on my left shoulder, and then I brought up my left leg, and then there was a showcase. It's like a computer with it, and the window itself, it's tempered glass. So tempered glass is that you need to have a sledgehammer to break that bad boy, okay? So my leg comes up, and honest to God, man, and it hit the thing and shattered it to mince, yo.
Wow.
In the morning time when I was at the hospital and when I wake up, the doctor said to me, "What's inside your leg?" I said, "Man, I have no idea." But honest to God, I don't know how the hell my leg shattered a tempered glass window.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And I can show you the incision.
Yeah.
Where,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Show it to me.
So that's
That's
it right
crazy.
there. Yeah, man. So I cut 80% of my superficial perineal nerve.
Wow.
And it took me about, 8 to 10 months to kind of rehab that and, get some strength back into it.
What was the pain like right away? Were you like?
You know what? At first, there was no pain.
Yeah.
It was just, but the minute I go to take a step to walk, I just fell, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just called the ambulance one time. And yeah.
What was the doctors? They see it. They obviously told you like this is insane.
Yeah.
What were they telling you about
like in
the injury?
In the morning, basically they were just trying to save my leg. That was the initial thought. They will do it because the nerve was so badly damaged, right? And I was in operation for like 6 hours, and I'm in bed, and then who called? Bob. Bob calls on the phone right in the morning. Soon as I wake up, it's Bob on the phone. So like this guy, he's been there every step of the way, man.
Yeah. What was going through your mind when that injury happens? And like, I'm guessing you're probably thinking like this, because you had NBA buzz during that time, right?
Oh, for
like,
sure.
What was that like? Like people were calling you the once in a generation player.
Yeah, it
primed for like a great career, potential like long NBA career.
It was.
What was that like?
Shit, it was a horrible feeling. Was disappointed. It was hard, It was, it wasn't a nice feeling at all, man. It was just a lot of mixed feeling, a lot of mixed emotions, saying why me, why is this happening to me, like,
Freak
how is
accident.
this? Yeah, how is this possible? This window was tempered. How was my leg? I had strong legs, but come on, my leg ain't no sledgehammer, right? So it's just a lot of stuff that didn't make sense to me, right?
Yeah. What did rehab look like? Walk me through that.
Oh man, it was every day, man. It was every day. I rehabbed like nonstop, it didn't stop. It was rigorous and it was tough, but I went through it.
Yeah. And when did you end up coming back?
I came back the next year.
Next year?
The next year I came back.
Did you feel the same? Like what was different just about your game?
Oh, my athleticism wasn't quite the same. You know what I mean? Like I lost a bit of my elevation and, and my lateral quickness wasn't the same, because usually I was a pretty good defender as well, right? So at the time I lost some quickness laterally and I lost a bit of my takeoff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 4 years wrapped up in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Wrapped it up over there.
Yeah.
End up going professionally after that. How did tell me how that option happens, and then when you're weighing it, I want to go play here, I want to go play there. Well,
when you're there, right, your last year of school, and all of a sudden, all these couple agents, guys calling you, different agents, sending you email or contacting you, telling you that they could get you jobs here and there, and this is their fee, right? So there was a guy named Raymond, and a Spanish guy. He was from Spain. He's like, yeah, I've got some contacts over, in Hong Kong. I've got contacts in South America, but my fee is 30%.
Damn.
Yeah, that's what he said. Like a black market guy, right? It's like a hustler guy, right? So I was like, nah, man, I'm good, right? And then I got a call from this Israeli guy. And then he just started getting me all kinds of contracts from different places. Yeah. And he was like, like 5-6%, right?
Yeah.
So he was a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the standard is kind of like 5%.
Yeah.
You played what, in Colombia?
In Colombia and Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
What was the best spot between those two?
Actually, I played 2 years in Venezuela. The best basketball, I think, was in Venezuela.
Why Venezuela?
It was so competitive.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so competitive. And there's lots of Americans that was playing over there that was naturalized that end up living over there, marrying the Venezuelan girls, so they play as a local. So it was competitive basketball.
Yeah. Played 6 years.
Yeah.
What was that like? And what made you decide to, okay, I'm going to retire now?
Well, because of my knee, right? I couldn't, the knee just, it just kept hurting. I just couldn't. Like, I remember when I was in Hong Kong, the court there was concrete. So, and as an import, they expect you to play a lot, and it was 12-minute quarters. So they expect you to play at least, the bulk of the minute, right? So I used to play like 40 to 45 minutes a game, right? And there used to be times where I couldn't even walk up the stairs, so it just became too painful after a while.
Yeah. So you retire, but you're still playing, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I didn't start playing pickup.
Yeah.
But I just stopped playing on that level because professionally, man, they expect you to practice a lot. They expect you to play the bulk of the game, and they expect you to produce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at my body was starting to break down a little bit, right?
Yeah. What was next for you after that?
I basically I did some teaching with Bob. Bob got me into the school where I did some emergency teaching. Supply teacher. I did that for like 3 years. And then I opened up my basketball club called the Wolverines.
Yeah. Yeah. You're just telling me too, you had some NBA guys now that that played for that team.
Oh yeah, I had a couple of guys who came through my program, whether it's through summer camp or through my rep teams and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the names, walk me through those guys.
Like AJ Lawson was one. He's been coming since he was a youngster. Nikhil Alexander Walker, when he was young, he came through the program. And we coach against a lot of guys, We coach against guys like Andrew Nemhart, not Dylan Brooks, but the kid for the Denver Nuggets, Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
We coach against him.
Yeah.
When he played for Bounce.
Yeah. Did you see the potential when you're seeing AJ, when you're seeing Nikhil, you're like, these guys and they're all doing their thing now.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that?
With Nikhil, I definitely seen it. And with AJ, he was always athletic. So with AJ, for me, it was whether he was going to go or not. And then I knew once he get past 6'5", 6'6", yeah, because he's a hell of an athlete, and he's a hard worker, right? So I think for sure. Yeah.
Going back a bit, I know you played for Canada basketball.
Yeah.
How many years was that?
In total, I think I played about 7 years.
What was that like during that time? The 90s, right? And playing during that time, I think Steve Nash was just also popping up in the scene too. What was the roster? Were you guys that competitive? Like, what was it like?
We were competitive, but not as competitive as these guys. And for me, it was okay. My first couple of years was really good, but then afterwards, after I got hurt, for me, it wasn't the same because I wasn't the same player. So it was just hard for me to really compete and to be able to show my skill set when your leg and your body is not really allowing you to, right? So for me, that part of it was very frustrating.
Yeah. There's a lot of sentiment too during that time. Like, there's a lot of gatekeeping with the national team during that time. Like racism. There's the book out. Warren Weisfeld, my guy, he came on the show. We talked about it. And there's a lot of sentiment from players during that time that Toronto players would have beat guys on the national team. Is that something you believed in, seeing the talent in Toronto that they could have gone up against guys on the national team?
Oh yeah, because I've been on some teams. Like I was on the Royal University team, and that team was okay. But we had guys in Toronto that was much better than some of my teammates, for sure. Yeah. There's no question about that.
Why do you think that was during that time? And like, it's also still like, I won't say still, but there was a resentment too, where like guys would be like, I'm not getting a call up and I'm this good.
Yeah, and some of them guys wouldn't even want to go play because they felt that they were disrespected in the past. So all of a sudden, no, I'm not going to go, right? I mean, at the time, right, those coaches, then they're not from Toronto. They're from out west. They're from out east. So number one, they're not really familiar with the local players in Toronto, right? And to be honest, for them, they're not used to coaching inner city kids. So it's it's a disconnect there, right? They're more comfortable coaching kids, in the suburbs and kids who they could relate to, right?
Yeah. Steve Nash was coming up during that time.
Yeah.
What was it like watching him sort of kind of blossom into the scene? Did you play with him on the national team?
Oh yeah, I played with Steve Nash a few times. I mean, you could just see his talent, right? You could just see his skill set. Like, everything about him was just so sharp and tight and solid in his fundamentals. and he had an extremely good work ethic. You know what I mean? So I knew Steve was a pro. I could just tell from day one. And there was another guy named Wayne Yearwood who I thought was a pro for sure. He's like 6'8", 6'9", just do everything.
Had it all.
Handle, shoot, just, you know what I mean? So those two guys that I played with, those two guys really stood out to me that I thought was definite pros.
Yeah. For you during that time, I was going to ask, who's the toughest guys you've competed against? Whether it's like guys that ended up playing in the league that you were like, people don't realize that like you battle against some of the greats.
I'd say Steve Smith, from Michigan State. I played against him a lot. I played against him in the Detroit League in St. Cecilia in the summertime. Yeah, so he's one of my, I used to compete against him a lot. Yeah, oh yeah.
I hear so many stories about you dropping X amount of points. But what was the most, like, who did you give the most buckets to? What was that? Can you?
We played this team from New York called Riverside Church, and it was in Montreal, and they had a really good team. You know, they had a point guard named Kenny Anderson. He played in the NBA for I think 14 years. They had Conrad McRae, God rest his soul, he passed away a few years ago, Brian Reese. So they had, on their squad, they had at least 7 All-American, right? And it was a Sun U tournament in Montreal, and man, I was hyped for that tournament. Yeah. So that game, I think I had like 65 or 61 against those guys. Yeah.
Just straight.
That was what
was it? You were giving them everything? Was it like
everything, man? Threes, dunks, everything. It was on display, you know.
What was the reaction afterwards?
Oh man, it was, the gym went crazy, and even the other coach, that it was a Christian man. He recruited me. He wanted me to come and play with them in a couple of tournaments. And
did you consider it?
It was just a mutual respect thing. I mean, he was willing to pay for all of that stuff, but at the time, man, I was so busy with basketball in Canada, right?
Yeah.
That it just didn't really interest me at the time.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people realize. I think that. One of those that game, probably a lot of people opened their eyes to Toronto guys.
Oh yeah, because he told a lot of coaches about me and about Bob, right? And then I know he got a St. John's coach a call a few times because he was a New York guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When I think about today's game, there's a lot of guys from the city that end up playing college, but there's not many like guys from like where you're from, you know, like Toronto, inner city. Delano Banton is probably one of the main guys I'm thinking about. But like guys that are from like, you know what I'm talking about, inner city Toronto that make it to the league. Is there a reason you think we're seeing more like the outer regions where it's more, you know, like, because that's what when I talk about the culture in basketball in Toronto, it's like it's not the same. And I think that might have to do with that kind of stuff. Why do you think there's like another you that comes out of like Lawrence Heights, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, there was a Wayne Smith. Because after me, there was Wayne Smith and there was Denham Brown.
So Mike Kabongo.
Yeah, Mike Kabongo. Yeah, so they just keep producing talent, right?
But there hasn't been much. That's why I'm like.
Yeah, well, what happens that most of those guys, they go to the U.S., right?
Yeah.
Because, look at I know Rowan's son, he went to the U.S., right?
Yep.
Nikhil, I think, went to the U.S. after a while, right?
Yeah.
And they finished their last year of high school in the U.S., right?
Yep.
So that way they get more exposure, better opportunity, right? So we never had done that, you know. For me, I just took to high school in Canada, right? And I got all my scholarship in Canada. And then that's where we left and go, right?
I'm guessing you, obviously you're tapped into the basketball scene. Mm-hmm. Is that something you think is needed? Guys going to the States? Because at the time, like when Mike came on this podcast, we talked about it. He's seen like Junior Cadogan go through it, and it was like it was needed, you know, during that time. Those guys go in. But now it's like there's talent level here. I'm guessing you've seen it too. I mean, you think it's needed?
Yeah, no, I think we need to develop our programs here more because Toronto's on the map. I mean, we've got the Raptors, we've got the women's team now. Everybody knows about, and they love the city. And we have so many kids in the NBA that's from Toronto. So I think that we need to do a better job developing our program locally, where people will just come directly here and take kids and bring them over, right?
Yeah, because when I talk to most people, it's like they complain about having to come to Pearson Airport, you know, go through the border, like the
all the headaches, the customs,
the custom stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the issue when it's like you go to the States, everyone's there, that kind of stuff. How do you see like the Canadian basketball landscape now compared to when you were playing? Is it night and day?
Oh, night and day, man. Right now there's way more funding. I mean, back then we didn't get any funding, hardly any funding, right? we probably went on a couple of trips for the summer. Our training wasn't as long because there was no funding. Now there's funding coming from all over the place. So, and these guys are winning, right? I guess when you're winning, it brings in more sponsorship, right? So it's like night and day. Like now it's much better. Yeah. There's much more support now. There's much better players now. And they're winning more. I think these guys have a legit chance of winning a medal in 2028.
Yeah. No excuses, 2028.
Yeah.
I tell like we're gonna cover that in depth too. It's gonna be, I think this is the pivotal time. You got Shea, who's arguably 1-2 best player in the league.
Oh yeah.
And now everyone of Dylan Brooks is doing this thing. You got Nikhil doing this thing. Mm-hmm. You surround the right pieces. They just got to figure out the big man situation, which I've harped on a lot. They don't have. There's not bigs, that are like 7 footers.
They got Zach Eddy, right?
Zach Eddy.
You could build around him,
Yeah.
And don't listen. That kid Sharp is pretty nice.
Shane Sharp.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
He needs to be on the team.
Yeah, I did a short list of guys that I want to see. I think Shane Sharp was on my list.
Oh, Shaden Sharp. Oh man, he's a hell of a player. Him and Nemhard.
Nemhard, yep.
Guaranteed. Dylan.
Yep.
Mathurin.
Yep.
Mathurin should be on the team, right?
Yep. If you're playing today,
mm-hmm.
what do you feel like your game would look like? What would you thrive in? What would you adapt?
Right now, I think I'd probably be a point guard right now in today's game. Yeah, because I like to pass. And I could shoot, my handle, you know what I mean? The athleticism. So yeah, I'd be a point, I think.
For you, what keeps you connected to the game? I know your grandson's playing. Is he the next best thing? Is this someone I need to watch out for?
Yeah, I don't want to put too much pressure on him. Yeah. Like, see, for him, it's all about his work ethic, right? Like he's 16, he's 6'6", but he's a pretty boy, right? So you know what I'm saying?
That's the next generation.
Oh man, so he just drives me crazy, man. When I was his age, I tell him, I said my girlfriend was basketball, but this guy, me and him will make plans to go hoop. All of a sudden, I'm waiting for this guy, dropping off his girlfriend here. You know what I mean? So he loves to play, but he's got options now. Yeah,
he sounds like me in high school. He's a ladies' man. Like,
oh man, yeah.
What's your message when you're talking to young guys? When guys hear about your legacy, what you've done,
mm-hmm.
What's one message you leave to players?
That if you're gonna get into the game, if you're gonna give it 100%, don't half-ass it, right? Because you have to give yourself a legitimate shot, and you got to put that effort in, no shortcuts. And it's all about the hard work, right? I used to take 1,000 shots a day, I used to say, I'm not leaving until I make 500 threes, right? So you have to set goals and try to attain it, right?
Yeah. What are you most proud about when you think about your basketball journey?
Oh, man, there's so many things. Yeah, well, for one, I was happy that I was able to see a lot of countries, as far as visiting and, meeting. I've got friends in so many different countries, you know what I mean? I've got a good group of people who I can network with, I could get up and go to different countries and do different things, So I love what basketball has provided me with. People I've met through basketball, my connection, the way my life is now is because of basketball, So it has done a lot for me. It has also saved me,
How do you feel when people like me say you're a pioneer? That, there wouldn't be the next wave of talent without Phil Dixon?
I'm very humbled by that. I've heard it from a few different people, and I'm humbled by that. And, I don't just take it casually, I take it, and I personalize that, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to run with it, right? And just try to make life easier for other people when it comes to basketball. And whatever I could do to help them become a better player, I'm all about it. Because I still do training now. I still train kids on the side, right? Because I could never stop, right? That's something I enjoy doing. I still train my grandson,
What's you talk about training?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's missing when you're training guys, Canadians? Is there something they lack? Because they talk about Canadians being late bloomers. I hear about the shot is always like Canadians can't shoot the ball that well right away. What are your thoughts?
What I find with a lot of these kids is the work ethic. It's like they don't understand how hard they have to work to really get it. You know what I mean? they think that they could get it if they just go casual, they just go mediocre, just go average. But they got to go beyond, you know what I mean? They got to go to the point where they're uncomfortable, right? And some of them are not built that way, you know? So they got to come into their comfort zone. And they're not wired in that way. A lot of the kids in the U.S., because of their environment, they have no choice, right? That's their only way, right?
Yeah, I had Cav on, who's the commissioner of the NPA. He talked about there's lack of competitiveness in Ontario. Do you see that? Is that something?
I see a lot of that too, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think those are all character flows, right? These individuals, right? They just, that they lack that passion, right? You have to have a type of hunger to be good, to really excel, to really put that time in.
Yeah. And nobody's like watching games, I feel like, anymore, right? Where it's like, I think back then it's like, now it's...
Everything is social media. Yeah,
you got no social media, huh?
I mean, well, my daughters, man, they put me on some TikTok stuff, and so yeah. So other than that, you know what I mean? Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like now I think about social media during this time age. It's insane. We talked about it too. Well, now you have 5 kids. What's that like? Seeing them grow. What's that like for you, just as pops?
Man, life just keeps evolving, man. You know what I mean? It's a blessing, right? I got 3 grandkids. You know what I mean? The grandkids for me is a trip, right? And see my grandson, he's taller than me. It's just, man.
Who wins the ones?
You know what? The last time we played, I beat him, but I haven't played him in like a year. And I won't be playing him for a while. And I think the game was like up to 3. Okay. So that was it.
Yeah.
So I enjoy watching him whoop his dad's butt. Yeah. So he beats Jordan all the time. Yeah. So I enjoy watching that.
Oh, that's crazy. Last question I just want to end off with you. How do you want to be remembered? Like when I think about you as a player, for the next generation, for people in the basketball space, what does Phil Dixon want to be remembered as when we're thinking about as a basketball player, as a pioneer, as just like a legend in this space?
Like basketball was my life. Like it literally saved my life. You know what I mean? Like, at 5 years old, I lost the only mom I knew, and then went to live with my grandma, which was blind in 2 eyes. And then all of a sudden she says, I'm going to get you a new mom, I'm going to get you a new mom. And then at the age of 11, all of a sudden, I have this new mom now, and just very, 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 very abusive. You know what I mean? Like my life was hell. So basketball just was like an escape. You know what I mean? Like that's all I would focus on was basketball. So my life is basketball, bro. Like that's it. It was an outlet. It was everything. It kept me away from so many things.
Have you ever considered writing a book? I feel like people would read it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'd read it. I'd pick it up. Oh yeah, bestseller.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about it. Oh yeah. There's a few different people who approached me about it. Oh yeah.
We'll talk more in depth probably after this, man. Because I think people they need to know the history, and they need to know just like you talk about it. Just basketball is your life. I feel we don't see that much, right?
Oh yeah.
Phil Dixon, one of the greatest Canadian basketball players to ever touch a basketball. I need to come watch your grandson hoop.
Yes.
We're going to set that up.
Julius, baby. It's Julius. Yes.
I appreciate you for taking the time, joining us in studio.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Man,
my pleasure.
And yeah, man, Phil Dixon, man. So hard to reach, so hard to get in contact with. The amount of people I have to go through just to get in touch with Phil Dixon.
But I'm here.
He's here.
Live
in person. My guy.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, brother.
Oh, you're welcome, brother.
Pleasure always.